he can pull it off, unbelievable. That'll be 4 champs, 2 interims and 2 legit, well 3 legit now with Tom being promoted from the UK that have become champions. And for Justin Gaethje, this is the final go. This is the final crack of the whip. The man's had 2 title fights in the past, Charles Oliveira to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now he gets to go up against Paddy.
I am not saying that Paddy deserves this more than Arman, but I'm just saying because he hasn't fought, because Ilya hasn't fought, and I suspect they want to get into a training camp. If they haven't even started one already, I suspect they're going to want to announce this, get rolling with the promotion. There's a lot of history there, and you have Arman sit in the front row, and you say he is next. Like, let's get some decorum here. Let's start figuring out who's next.
So here's the big question everyone's asking: who really deserves to be next in line? This new Paramount deal is shaking things up fast. The first major showdown of 2026 is already brewing into what looks like an explosive confrontation. Justin Gaethje is set to square off against Paddy Pimblett for that interim lightweight championship. Tony Ferguson didn't hold back with his take on this one. He's convinced Justin has been through hell and back more times than Paddy could ever imagine. According to Tony, Paddy's hunger comes from being fresh and unscathed, but Justin's fire was forged through pain, battles, and war wounds. Tony warned that all of Paddy's youthful energy won't stand up to Justin's hard-earned wisdom once that cage door locks.
Paddy's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again, Paddy's in for a new treat, right? Paddy's the one that's never fought for a belt. He's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more pressure. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion.
Michael Bisping came out swinging as Justin's biggest supporter, claiming the MMA world is walking around blind. Despite being retired from active competition, he made it crystal clear that people get mesmerized by Paddy's hype machine while completely ignoring what Justin actually accomplishes inside that octagon. Bisping called Justin pure violence incarnate and said when the pressure gets turned up, he becomes impossible to stop, impossible to break, and way more dangerous than anyone gives him credit for. According to Bisping, fans sleep on Justin simply because his explosive performances have been the standard for way too long. His incredible skills look ordinary now, but they're anything but normal.
I mean, the fight not happening. It's Justin or Paddy now. Paddy got to get past Justin. Justin's a tough fight, bro. I don't know. A lot of people sleeping on Justin on the Paddy fight, which just makes me ridiculous.
Chael Sonnen jumped into this argument with both feet, backing Justin purely out of his disdain for Paddy. Chael made his position clear that Justin is the only one who actually earned this shot, the only fighter who conquered legitimate contenders and racked up those crucial ranking points. He insisted Paddy still has glaring holes in his game that fans ignore because of all the noise surrounding him, and Justin's relentless pressure will expose every single weakness. Sonnen doesn't see this as competitive at all. He's predicting Justin will dominate from bell to bell, putting on a brutal and definitive performance that leaves the crowd stunned.
I mean, I want him to win, this guy, I hate him. But I hope Justin Gaethje not gonna drink, party, gonna train, dedicate himself, be focused. It's his last chance in this life. He was fighting for the title maybe 5 times. So this is his chance and the end of his career. Win the interim title, fight for the real title, and then retire. That's the best for him.
Michael Bisping pushed back against that popular narrative, warning people not to count Paddy out so quickly. He highlighted Paddy's sharp timing, unpredictable movement patterns, and constant improvement that make him dangerous for anyone, including Justin. Bisping noted that too many get caught up in personality over actual fighting ability, and Paddy has more than enough skill to shock anyone expecting an easy Justin victory. He emphasized that sleeping on Paddy is a mistake because confidence and accurate striking can completely flip a fight if Justin underestimates what he's facing.
Be able to take him down. Will he dance around the octagon? Yes, he will. Will he try and replicate the game plan of Max Holloway? Of course he will. Who wouldn't try and do that? You aren't going to stand and go toe-to-toe with Justin Gaethje because the man does have knockout power. But underestimate Paddy at your peril. That's all I'll say about that one, but that is a phenomenon.
Bisping also warned that Justin will be fighting under enormous pressure since this could be his final opportunity to capture gold. He explained how it can mess with a fighter's head when they feel time running out, and Justin needs to stay calm instead of swinging for the fences too early and avoid getting desperate. In Bisping's opinion, this psychological weight alone could become Justin's biggest enemy and give Paddy the opening he needs to steal rounds or create chaos that changes everything.
And he can pull it off. Unbelievable. That'll be 4 champs, 2 interims and 2 legit, well 3 legit now with Tom being promoted from the UK that have become champions. And for Justin Gaethje, this is the final go. This is the final crack of the whip. The man's had 2 title fights in the past, Charles Oliveira to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now he gets to go up against
that Paddy's readiness to take those long odds might actually guarantee Paddy's victory, because Justin tends to create openings when his aggression takes over.
Paddy Pimblett, I reckon Pimblett's going to win. He keeps at very good range, keeps his distance a lot, doesn't get caught up in the pocket too much, throws in volume when he does throw a lot of the time with his 1-2, 1-2, and then a jump knee, and a lot of dynamics things that can get the better of Gaethje. Plus he's going to mix in the takedowns. And Gaethje's getting up there in his career. He's just going through more and more wars, more and more scraps, a ton of time off. Pimblett coming into his prime, has been in shape for a while for this matchup as well.
Daniel Cormier shocked everyone by throwing his support behind Paddy as well. He argued that Paddy's striking has evolved enough to land serious damage when Justin gets reckless. DC explained that Justin leaves himself vulnerable during wild exchanges, and Paddy, if he stays disciplined, has the accuracy to capitalize on those dangerous moments. Despite their past tensions, DC acknowledged Paddy's advantages in certain areas. He wouldn't be shocked if Paddy scored some early success.
Something really fascinating.
Sure. Justin Gaethje against Paddy Pimblett. Me against Islam. Once I pass him, I get the title, and you put me against Paddy.
You think Paddy's going to beat Justin Gaethje?
Easy.
That's a crazy thing to say, because Justin Gaethje, animal.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to grapple, and Paddy knows
But
that.
he's a Division I wrestler. He knows how to grapple. You don't think he knows how to grapple? He just chooses.
But with predictions flying everywhere, this matchup has absolutely ignited a firestorm of controversy. Plenty are questioning why Islam Makhachev got left out, but Ariel Helwani led the charge with his criticism. He blasted the UFC for prioritizing storylines and profits over competitive fairness by selecting Paddy based on his rivalry with Ilya instead of actual merit. Ariel argued that fans expect the #1 contender in an interim title fight, and leaving out the obvious choice makes no sense.
I'm not saying that Paddy deserves this more than Armin, but I'm just saying because he hasn't fought, because Ilya hasn't fought, and I suspect they want to get into a training camp. If they haven't even started one already, I suspect they're going to want to announce this, get rolling with the promotion. There's a lot of history there, and you have Armin sit in the front row, and you say he is next. Like, let's get some decorum here. Let's start figuring out who's next.
Helwani went further, claiming rankings become meaningless when the top fighter gets skipped for marketing purposes. He said the lightweight division is already messy and fans deserve answers. He argued the decision feels manufactured and has zero basis in sporting logic. Ariel expressed concern that the division becomes a joke whenever rankings get ignored, especially when championship implications are involved.
Are you going to headline an interim title fight over that one? How are you going to put that beneath an interim title fight? And an interim title fight, once again, that does not feature the #1 contender.
He stressed that if it wasn't for Ilya's personal situation, the rightful fight would have been Ilya versus Islam without question. He pointed out both fighters earned their positions through legitimate wins, not popularity contests, and bypassing them makes a division run on hype instead of talent. He claimed inserting Paddy puts entertainment over authenticity, which bothers many fans who follow the sport for competitive integrity.
Honestly, it should have been the co-main event, 5-round, #1 contender fight, Ilya versus Armin, second half of the year. What's the problem with that? And now what you just said, because he reiterated this in the Instagram Live, the winner of this fight is going to fight Ilya. What happens to Armin? Armin's going to have to fight who? What is going on? What does Armin Tsarukyan have to do to get a shot at the belt now? I know he had the fight back in January. He got hurt. Sue the guy. He sat patiently. He went out there. He steamrolled right through Dan Hooker. He did exactly what he had to do. He did what Khamzat and Islam did not do. He finished his opponent on the ground in dominant, impressive fashion. And now what is he? Now he's just floating in the wind. And he's not even next, apparently.
Daniel Cormier completely agreed with Ariel's assessment, saying Ilya versus Islam should have been the only title fight. He explained that the UFC damages the division's credibility when deserving contenders get pushed aside for business reasons. DC emphasized that merit should drive title matchmaking, or championships start losing their value. He stated that ultimately these decisions hurt the division's long-term health.
So well that we go, man, the way he beat Chandler, we've never seen that before. But Ilya is a different beast. He's a savage. But so is Arman Sarukian. I believe that Arman versus Ilya is the fight, man. 100%. From the interactions they have, the way that you can tell that those guys don't like each other. Ilya said he slapped him the other day. Arman said he touched his face, and now he's saying he slapped him. It's easy to build a fight between these two, because when you build a fight between these two, you feel like it's going to be very competitive.
Michael Chandler quickly weighed in, suggesting that if Paddy somehow pulls off this upset, then Ilya would get the easiest possible title defense of his career. Chandler broke down how the gap in size, power, striking technique, and experience between Ilya and Paddy would be massive. Creating such a lopsided matchup would barely qualify as competitive. Multiple experts echoed this sentiment and described it as a gift-wrapped championship defense for the current title holder.
To fight, I think Paddy would have a good chance to keep it past a round or two, because he's not going to engage, I think, as much as Oliveira did, and we all found out how Oliveira would do if that right hand left hook lands. But ultimately, I think Topuria, it's not as big of a mismatch as most people think, but it's definitely a mismatch, and that's just because we're talking Ilya Topuria.
Chandler also emphasized that people need to quit treating Justin Gaethje like some mindless brawler just because he throws heavy leather. He maintained that Islam Makhachev represents the only legitimate threat to Ilya Topuria's throne, and that the UFC is wasting everyone's time with meaningless fights. He praised Islam's wrestling foundation, cardio, and composure to drag Ilya into uncomfortable territory. As Chandler put it, Gaethje versus Paddy delivers entertainment value but doesn't answer the real championship question.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is by far the best performance of Arman Tsarukyan's career. We hadn't seen him since April of 2024. We were supposed to see him at the beginning of this year. It all fell apart. I don't know what happened. Back injury, bad weight cut, whatever the actual reason was, I don't know. What I do know is that guy who you just saw there at 155 pounds, and that means I'm excluding Islam from this conversation for the present moment, that is by far Ilya Topuria's toughest test.
Chimed afterward.
Chael acknowledged this comes down to UFC business priorities. He noted the promotion chases eyeballs and compelling stories, and Paddy is a massive draw who generates incredible buzz. Sonnen admitted he understood the logic even though he hated the decision. He explained the UFC will sacrifice ranking integrity for excitement, and this situation proves entertainment drives decisions.
They tried.
They gave him easier because they know he's gonna lose to Ilya. Better like to do interim title and make something like a bigger than, because if he has no title, he's fighting for the title. He's not that big, but when he gonna be, I hope he's not gonna be a champion, but like UFC think he's gonna be a champion and he's gonna fight for the real belt with Ilya. That time he's gonna be superstar and they can sell more pay-per-views or whatever they do. And the real fighters like me just watching and waiting our time, you know.
Sonnen suspected the UFC wants to build Paddy and Ilya into a blockbuster feud similar to Conor versus Khabib, and they're restructuring the entire division around that narrative. He sees massive financial potential and plans to milk this storyline for everything it's worth. Expect future matchmaking decisions to follow this pattern as spectacle begins to override merit systems more obviously.
Our Paddy Pimblett and to bring him to fight for the title with Top Korea, has a bigger name and make it like a big fight, like a kind of Khabib versus Conor, but they're not even if he got the.
That he was one of the few men in this division that wanted to fight you. I'm curious, how many options did you have for this card? And is it true? Is he one of the few that said yes to fighting you?
No, he is the only one who said yes from deserver fighters, and I supposed to fight with Gaethje as well. He said.
Just levitated his way into an interim title shot, which is insane, but fair enough. As an Englishman, I'm all on board with this. But, you know, it is what it is. I think he'll beat Gaethje, but let it be known, Gaethje said, I'm not fighting ever again, and I'll retire if you don't give me a title shot. And bent their knee. They bent the knee to Justin Gaethje and just gave him what he wanted through him threatening to retire after beating Fiziev on short notice. Are you hearing what I'm saying?
Stay tuned for more rapid fight breakdowns, expert analysis, and comprehensive coverage.